My name is Patrick Valentine. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is where I play my games. Even talk about wrestling. Even talk about anime. I can't get no satisfaction. Hell yeah! Completing every game to 100%, even if it means it'll be very tough. Get to the end. I will push hard to reach the end, even if it may seem tough. Complete the game. It doesn't matter what I play, I will achieve victory. No, you will see my gaming prowess that will take me to the end. Yes, it doesn't matter what I play, I will push my limits. You will see me reach to the very end. Yes, welcome to my channel. My gaming skills will take me to the end. I'm really starting to believe that Smackdown is by far the worst show right now on WWE television. While there are only a few interesting things that are happening on the show, which is mainly the whole John Cena saga and the Jade Cargill storyline, those are the only two important things I enjoy about Smackdown. Everything else is just pure and utter garbage. Randy Orton, he started off by talking about John Cena. He talked about John Cena, and then he talked about Kevin Owens and saying that he's going to punt Kevin Owens. The other weird thing is Tiffany Stratton. I'm sorry, I just cannot get into her as a champion. I just cannot get into her as the champion. While I have said before I prefer her as champion over Nia Jax, I just do not understand why we should be supporting and getting behind this woman. Again, she's only cheered because of her association with Nia Jax. Nia Jax is so easily hated that fans are obviously going to cheer for her. Same thing with Charlotte Flair. Charlotte and Nia are like two of the most hated women, and it's easy to get fans to really care about the opposition opponent. WWE is planning to have Charlotte Flair wrestle B-Fab next week. Really? Why? Why B-Fab of all people? I mean, great, Charlotte's having a match, but it's B-Fab. It's B-Fab. I would have been more interested if it was somebody else, but I'm not really interested in that. The other thing I don't get is why is Tiffany Stratton wrestling every week? Now I know that this is a good thing. Now before anyone gets this, everyone thinks I'm twisting it. Before people start twisting my words, this is a good thing. I actually don't mind that Tiffany wrestles every week. But the problem is Triple H doesn't do this with Rhea Ripley. Why do you have Tiffany wrestle every week, but not Rhea Ripley? Like, ever since Tiffany became the champion, she wrestled Bayley, she's wrestled Candice about 100 times, she wrestled at the Elimination Chamber despite not defending her title, and now she wrestles tonight against Piper Niven. Why is she wrestling every week? Why does she get to compete on every single SmackDown while Rhea Ripley doesn't do this either? Why does Rhea get benched every single week? And you wonder why people give Rhea Ripley bad rap. Because Triple H doesn't have Rhea wrestle every week. If you do have Rhea wrestle every week, because Rhea is easily one of the best Australian wrestlers that WWE has, and you bench her every week. Yes, she wrestled on Raw, mainly because she promised to give Io Sky a title match, but again, Rhea rarely ever wrestles. Even when you watch her 380-day title reign, how many times did she wrestle on Raw? Maybe like once or twice? Like, she wrestled once against Raquel, and then again against Ivy, and that's about it. She, like, wrestled maybe, like, twice on an episode of Raw. They only had her wrestle at pay-per-views, which is fine to have your champions exclusively wrestle on pay-per-views if you think that's fine, but at the same time, I feel like Rhea should be wrestling more often. Like, I get it, she's one of the biggest stars, and you'd rather give other people TV time, but that can also be a major problem. You got a lot of women on your roster. And I get you want to rotate the talent every now and then, but someone like Rhea should be wrestling consistently every single show. She should be someone that should be consistently wrestling. It makes no sense to me why Rhea doesn't wrestle every week. But yet but Tiffany Stratton does. But I also want to congratulate Tegan Nox on her big win, out in the independents now, known as Nixon Noel. I hope she does well out in the indies. And also, same thing for Indy Hartwell. I hope she does well out in the indies as well, in Australia, when she competes at We Are Renegades. If there was a way I could watch that show, I would. Anyway, let's get back on topic. I don't get why Triple H gave Pretty Deadly the #1 contendership. This is a question I definitely want to know. Why choose Pretty Deadly as #1 contenders over Motor City Machine Guns? Hell, even Los Garza. I don't mind Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo. Like, if you guys have to ask me which tag team I find underrated, I'd say Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo. I think they are very underrated. I actually think they are a really good team. Genuinely, I think they're a great team. But the fact that they get underutilized so much is crazy to me. The fact they're underutilized is so crazy to me. Like, I think Humberto and Angel are a pretty solid team. I didn't really care for them as singles competitors, but when they got together as a tag team, I was more sold because I thought these two guys would have been perfect as a tag team. And they really have been a great tag team, but unfortunately, they've just never gotten the opportunities to really show what they can do. Pretty Deadly, I cannot stand these guys. Pretty Deadly are unbearable. They're unwatchable. They're cringe. And yet, this company now wants to try and make them good guys by having them dethrone DIY. Like, dude, this is ridiculous. Like, imagine being Motor City Machine Guns, one of the hottest free agents in pro wrestling. You come to WWE, and in your third match ever, you become the tag team champions. Then you lose them in like 40 odd days or so. And now you're losing to Pretty Deadly. What was the whole point of having the Street Profits consistently attack teams? The Street Profits have made it clear they want the tag team titles. Why not make them the #1 contenders? But no, Pretty Shitty have to be the #1 contenders. The Pretty Poofters have to be the #1 contenders. I don't get that. I really do not understand Triple H's mindset here. No wonder why people say Smackdown is the worst show right now. No wonder why people say it's terrible. No freaking wonder why people say the show's terrible. And I can see why. The only real other thing I enjoyed was Naomi's heel turn. While I am not a fan of them revealing Naomi as Jade's attacker, I would much rather if it was Bianca, and I have stated that if it ain't Bianca, it would be a major letdown and also a bit of a flop, because I feel like Bianca would have made way more sense. But of course, WWE's gone down the path of the, oh, well, everyone would have known it was Bianca Belair, so we're gonna make it somebody else instead. No, it's not because we don't think Bianca Belair attacking Jade Cargill is predictable. We think it makes sense. I wasn't saying it because it's predictable. I'm saying because it makes sense. Even if you want to say it's predictable, that's fine. But at the same time, it's also understandable and it makes sense. to me, it would make more sense. So basically, Bianca Belair is remaining loyal to Jade Cargill because now she's angry at Naomi for lying to her the whole time. Listen, I was not a fan of Naomi's heel turn back in 2015, which, by the way, they incorrectly got that wrong. People have said the last time Naomi was a heel was in 2016. That is incorrect. She turned heel in 2015. It was like, I think it was like the Raw after Mania. No, it wasn't the Raw after Mania. No, it wasn't after Raw after Mania. I remember like AJ Lee wrestled on Raw after Mania. It was AJ Lee teamed with Paige and Naomi to beat the Bella Twins and Natalya, I think it was. After that, AJ retired, and then they did like this number one contenders battle royal, I think, the following week. I can't remember. I can't remember, but I remember it was like a battle royal. Paige won it. I think she eliminated Naomi. Paige won it to earn a shot at Nikki Bella, and then Naomi attacked her and took her spot. Turned heel and attacked her. So no, it wasn't 2016. It was in 2015. For those, wondering. So technically it's been 10 years since she was a heel. And 10 years later, she turns heel again. And then 10 years later, she turns heel again. So maybe in the next year, she's probably going to be a babyface again. Because she turned face like in 2016, like late 2016. She turned face late 2016. But yeah, I wasn't a really big fan of that first heel run, mainly because it didn't do anything for Naomi. It didn't really do anything for her. I genuinely believe Naomi really should have been Divas Champion throughout that heel run. And, yeah, I was disappointed with how they handled Naomi as a heel. And I didn't really buy her as a hateable character. I didn't really buy her as a hateable person. Didn't really think she was hateable. I said the same thing about Liv Morgan. I wasn't really into Liv Morgan as a heel the first time she was a heel. And when they turned her heel last year, I was like, well, okay. Like, I guess, like, I'm not the biggest fan of that idea. Like, Liv's first heel run didn't go very well, but now I really do like Liv as a heel, because this heel run is so much better than her previous heel run, not just because she became Women's World Champion, it's because they actually did a better job of making her a heel. She wasn't just randomly a heel like she was when she joined the Riot Squad. They actually got her over as a heel. So I'm really hoping that it's the same situation here with Naomi. I'm really hoping the same situation here with Naomi. But I'm very, very worried. But I'm very, very worried as a Naomi fan. As a fan of Naomi, I'm worried that they might just be turning her heel just to feed her to Jade Cargill. Cargill beats her at WrestleMania, and then that's it. Cargill gets her revenge on her at Mania, even though she's beat the shit out of her twice. So technically she's gotten her revenge on Jade Cargill. Technically, Jade Cargill's gotten her revenge on Naomi twice, because she's beaten the shit out of her twice. But that's the problem here. That's the problem here. Like, I'm worried that Naomi is just going to be put in this position as the same position she was the last time she was a heel. Just there to lose to everyone and just put over other people. I would much rather if Naomi, if Tiffany Stratton was to survive Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania, which I highly doubt, but we'll just go down the theory. We'll just make the theory that Stratton does survive Charlotte at WrestleMania. I would much rather Naomi be the one that beats Stratton for the title. You have Naomi beat Stratton for the title. You have Naomi stay champion to maybe SummerSlam, and then you have Jade Cargill beat her for it. And then you have Jade chase her and beat her for it. I would much rather that, because at least that way, Naomi can actually get something out of this heel run. I don't really want her to get anything. I don't want it to be like, she turns heel and now she's losing every week. She gets beat up by everybody. She gets beat up by all the baby faces and she loses every single time. And basically, she's the same thing that she was the last time she was a heel. I don't want it to go down that road. I would much rather Naomi get treated the same way Liv Morgan got treated when she went heel. Champion becomes a champion and gets a good championship run out of it. That's how I want Naomi to be booked as, but I highly doubt she will be. Speaking of champions, the worst United States champion in modern era, not Shinsuke Nakamura, Chelsea Green. Oh, man. This woman is a terrible champion. I do not understand why Triple H continuously tries to push this woman. I know I was recently complaining about how Chelsea doesn't defend her title, but this is literally, this woman has defended her title 4 times, and all 4 times she's defended her title, it's been the exact same person, being Michin. There are so many other women on the roster, like B-Fab, Zelina Vega, Nia, Candice, Alexa. There's so many people on the roster you could choose. But yet, you continuously give Michin championship match after championship match after championship match after championship match. She's just like Sheamus. She just keeps challenging and failing to win the championship. And I've said this before, and I said the same thing about Sheamus. The more you have them challenge, the more fans aren't gonna care. If you don't pull the trigger, then you're never going to pull the trigger. And that's the problem. They continuously have Michin challenge for the title, but she continuously fails. Like, why should I care about Michin? Like, why should I be hoping she becomes the champion when every single time she fails? I'd rather see someone else have a turn at it now, like Zelina Vega. I want to see someone else have a turn now. Time to move on. It's time to move on. Give someone else a chance. And speaking of Chelsea Green, what on earth is Triple H thinking of having Alba Fire being paired with Chelsea Green? Now, I know, before anyone tells me, I know Blair Davenport was originally planned to be the Secret Service of Chelsea Green. But does that mean you should give someone else that spot? Does that mean you should pick someone else to be put in that position? Just because, like, if you wanted Blair Davenport to be in it, why didn't they just put Blair Davenport in it? But instead, they released her. They released her anyway. Even if they had plans to put Blair Davenport in the group, they still released her anyway. Isla Dawn gets released, and again, Triple H continues to ruin the brand split. And he also ruined the whole concept of the transfer window, where they said the transfer window is closed after the Royal Rumble. And it's been a month since the Royal Rumble has ended, and now we've got Alba Fire, who clearly shouldn't be on SmackDown due to the transfer window being closed, is now appearing on SmackDown, and now she's moved to the SmackDown brand. So I guess they're going to secretly say, oh, she quietly got moved to SmackDown during the transfer window. This makes no sense. This makes no sense for Alba Fire to be with Chelsea Green. Imagine being the face of NXT UK. Imagine being the face of NXT UK for over 800 days to now going from being Chelsea Green's sidekick. What a downgrade. What a downgrade for Alba Fire, man. What a downgrade for her. I know we wanted her on TV, but did we want this? I sure as hell didn't. Man, imagine being a fan of Alexa Bliss. Man, imagine, like, I kind of feel bad for Alexa Bliss's fans. Kind of. Like, imagine being a fan of Alexa Bliss. You waited for 2 years for this woman to come back, and they've barely done anything with her. Barely anything at all with this woman since she came back after 2 years. Imagine choosing to have her off TV. Imagine choosing to have Chelsea Green on TV over Alexa Bliss. Man, if I was Alexa Bliss, I would have just stayed home if this is how they were going to book me. Why even bother coming back? Why even bother coming back when you're just going to be put in catering, well, they're going to be rather push Chelsea Green over you, man. Like, like, if I was a fan of Alexa Bliss, I'd be very disappointed. I'd be pissed. I'd be livid. I'd be angry. I would be very salty if I was Alexa Bliss, if I was a fan of her work. Like, imagine saying, yeah, we're going to have Chelsea Green on TV over her. Imagine saying, yeah, we're going to have Charlotte wrestle B-Fab instead of giving Alexa Bliss something to do. Give me Alexa Bliss versus Zelina Vega. Give me Alexa Bliss versus Tiffany Stratton. Give me Alexa Bliss versus Candice LeRae again. Alexa Bliss versus Roxanne Perez. Like, seriously, there's so many options you could choose, but now let's have Chelsea Green, the worst United States champion of all time. Let's give her a faction. Let's give the worst United States champion of all time a faction. Chelsea Green shouldn't even have a faction. This woman shouldn't even have a faction. Where the hell's the Wyatt Six? What happened to the Miz's storyline with the Wyatt Six? Like, the Miz was panicking about being on SmackDown, not being on the same show as the Wyatt Six. Well, I guess that whole thing's water under the bridge now. The Miz doesn't seem to care. He's now on the same show as the Wyatt Six. He's not panicking about the Wyatt Six coming after him anymore. I guess he has nothing to fear anymore. Like, why? Like, this whole show is a mess. Outside of the 3 things that I told you about that were interesting on the show, which was, like I said, the 2 segments where everyone was talking about John Cena being Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton, and the whole situation with Jade Cargill. LA Knight is now the United States champion again, which kind of begs the question, why did they have Shinsuke Nakamura win the United States Championship in the first place? Well, I understand they wanted to give Shinsuke a character change, and also I did hear that his brother unfortunately passed away, so this could be why they had him drop the United States Championship in the first place. But the thing I just do not understand is that you bring Shinsuke back with a new character. You bring him back with a brand new character, and then you immediately have him win the United States Championship, and then you do not have him defend it at all. For 3 months. For 3 months. You have him be the champion for 3 months to never defend the title, and then just to give it back to LA Knight. Even if his brother passing away isn't the reason they had him lose, you'd still be wondering, why did they even bother giving him the championship if he was just going to lose it 3 months later to the same guy he lost it to? Or to the same guy he beat for it? LA Knight really should not have lost the United States Championship. He really shouldn't have lost it in the first place if that was the case. LA Knight was doing great as the champion. I talked about it. I was going to talk about how SmackDown doesn't really have a lot of likable champions, but at least they've now got someone as a likable champion, being LA Knight. So nice to see that he's champion again. Hopefully this time they don't foolishly take it off him, only for the person to beat him just never defends it. And this was one of my biggest problems with modern day champions, where they barely ever defend their belts. I would rather them defend their belts. And this is why I do not like it when Triple H has short PLEs, like 4-match PLEs. Because then so many championships get left off TV. Like, when was the last time Bron Breakker defended his title? And no, I do not count Saturday night's main event as a pay-per-view. Before anyone tells me Saturday night's main event, I do not count that event as a pay-per-view. I'm not counting any show that involves Saturday night's main event as a pay-per-view, because they don't call it a PLE. If it was a pay-per-view, they would have called it that, but they don't call it that. They don't call it a PLE. They just call it a special show. So again, that's not a pay-per-view. while it is cool that LA Knight is the champion again, great. Probably the only other thing that even that I didn't really care about. Because mainly I knew LA Knight was going to win because of the whole situation of Shinsuke's brother. That I heard that Shinsuke's brother passed away, and I was just like, oh, well, okay. That means Shinsuke's going to lose the title. Then he can go away and take time off. Which is fine. Which is a fine reason for him to lose the title. But it also ruins the whole point of him winning the title in the first place. But yeah, man, SmackDown's so unbearable. It's such a bad show, man. It's so bad. I wish Triple H did better. Like, again, like what I said with Alexa Bliss. Like, imagine being a fan of her, and now and she can't even get on TV. Like, imagine waiting to see her back on TV, and she can barely get TV time. Like, you can't even put her against Zelina Vega. You can't put her against Tiffany Stratton. You can't put her against Katana Chance. Like, seriously, they literally have nothing for Alexa Bliss. Like, after 2 years being away, and they cannot do a goddamn thing with Alexa Bliss. That itself should be looked at as a shitty crime that Triple H is committing. And yet he lets Carmella walk. He lets Carmella leave after having a similar contract to Alexa Bliss. Keeps Alexa Bliss, but lets Carmella go. And, yeah. Yeah, man, I would be very disappointed. If I was an Alexa Bliss fan, I'd be pretty upset. That someone I waited to come back after 2 years and she cannot get TV time, and they'd rather waste time with Chelsea Green and all this other crappy shit that no one wants to see. Triple H needs to move SmackDown back to 2 hours. But if he wants SmackDown as a 3-hour concept to work, he needs to start booking the women's division a whole lot better. You know what I mean? Start having your big names wrestle more, instead of just wasting our time with garbage we don't want to see.